1985. This was the last time a team won the Scottish top tier apart from Rangers and Celtic. That team, of course, was Aberdeen and was managed by Sir Alex Ferguson. Since then, Sir Alex went on to take over Manchester United, win 13 league titles and retire after a 26-year trophy-laden career at the Red Devils. In Scotland, the division has been dominated by both Rangers and Celtic, and no other side in Scotland has come close to winning it since. However, Paul Conway wants to put a stop to that and has claimed that he can stop the old firm's dominance on the Scottish game. Barnsley owner Paul Conway has came out publicly insisting that he could break the stranglehold of Celtic and Rangers if the SFA allowed him to purchase a majority stake in a club. Conway's Pacific Media Group already own Barnsley in England, AS Nantes in France, Ostersund in Belgium, De Busch in Holland, Elfsborg in Denmark, and FC Thun in Switzerland. Conway believes he could apply the Moneyball approach to transfers to a club in Scotland and eventually win the division. He said, "If we had a Scottish club, we could challenge the duopoly of Celtic and Rangers 100%. Look at our Belgian example. With the lowest budget in the league, at Ostersund we finished 5th. We have a team now which is aged 24 to 27, we are competitive again this year, and why is that? It's because our biggest cash flow source is player trading. Think about it, and the biggest shopping market in the world is just a few miles south of the border. So if you buy a bunch of young attacking players, you can buy a medium-sized club, and through the trading profits, you can be competitive. The way it is set up now, you have the old firm who have control of the league, and no strategic investment is going to come into these other clubs. Part of the problem is that the old firm, as I understand it, don't want to encourage inward investment because they have an anti-competitive duopoly. You pick Hearts, Hibs or any other medium-sized clubs and they obviously can't compete because of the difference in the matchday revenue. But that can be fixed immediately if they are generating 10 to 15 million pounds of transfer profit like Ostersund. We got into Belgium and in our first year, the transfer revenue was 2 times what we paid for the club the year before. We sold Jack Hendry, we sold Arthur Theet to Bologna in Italy for £6.5 million after we got him on a free the year before. So if you bring in some strategic investor to recapitalise a team outside the old firm and these teams are generating transfer profits, guess what? The league is going to be a lot more competitive, and that will dwarf anything you can do to make commercial improvements to the league. It will also give you a chance of greater TV rights. Conway's Pacific Media Group tried purchasing Dundee last year, but it collapsed when the SFA capped the ceiling of owners of other clubs at 24.9%. Hearts, Aberdeen, Hibs, Dundee and Dundee United have called for a review, and in phase 2 of their study they want to allow dual ownership in terms of owners, allowing more potential investors to come into the Scottish game. Conway finished by sparking a warning to Scottish football, saying, "We looked at probably 4 opportunities to buy a club in Scotland and eventually gave up. It just doesn't work for us or anyone like us, and we grew so fed up we moved to 4 other countries. We now have clubs in England, France, Belgium, Holland, Denmark and Switzerland. Scottish football is falling behind and you either get on the bus or the leagues continue to suffer compared to the other leagues." The Dutch league opened up to strategic investors in January, and if you are an American investor, you are certainly going to go into Holland way before you go into Scotland. Okay guys, just before we wrap up, I just wanted to give you my opinion on the whole matter. If you're a long-term viewer of the channel, you'll know that I am pretty much for a healthier Scottish Premiership in terms of having a 3rd, 4th team sort of compete for the title or just overall push Rangers and Celtic and do their bit in Europe and help the division prosper and go up the coefficient ranks. If you look at the Premier League in Portugal and you look at the Eredivisie in Holland, they're dominated by 2 sides respectively. In Portugal, of course, it's Benfica and FC Porto. In Holland, it's Ajax and PSV. However, in their divisions, they have that 3rd or 4th team that are great teams in their own right. They compete for silverware, they do well in Europe and push those 2 teams in their divisions. Of course, in the Premier League, that's Sporting Lisbon and Braga, and Sporting Lisbon won the league this year. And then in Holland, you've got Feyenoord and AZ Alkmaar. Feyenoord won the division back in 2017. But, you know, it's usually dominated by their two big sides, but they do help the division. They help the country go up the coefficient ranks, and yeah, they sometimes win the division as well, which makes it a lot more exciting. So I'm all for that. In terms of the other part of the video, which is the SFA putting a block to strategic investors, I'm not surprised by that. I've always felt the SFA have had the handbrake up when in charge of Scottish football. I do feel Scottish football is falling behind, and that's due to the leaders that are in place. And something like the strategic investors, I'm not surprised by. I do believe that is the wrong thing to do. Hearts, Hibs, Aberdeen, Dundee United, I wish them well in their venture to try and overcome this, because how are they supposed to evolutionise? I've always talked about the size of these clubs and the history they've got. How will they be able to move on and help the division? They'll help the division most importantly and make the division better if they do have investors coming in. So I do think the SFA must look at this and try and come up with a system as to how they can get more money into these clubs to make them more competitive and evolutionise and make them better, because I think that would be great for Scottish football. But that is my opinion on the whole matter, guys. Please let me know your thoughts down there in the comment section below. I know most of the subscribers are Rangers and Celtic fans, but I'm not saying these teams are here to dominate like a PSG in terms of money ball it and you know, completely take the league away. I'm saying make the league a bit more competitive in terms of playing in Europe, and maybe once every 10 years win the league. I think it'd be a lot better for Scottish football. Do you agree? Let me know down there in the comment section below. Or do you reckon it should stay the same? Rangers and Celtic should have the stranglehold of the money and carry on this duopoly for the rest of time. Please do hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more Scottish football content, and I'll see you in the next video.